Let it. Hey, just showing my key like that. That's real nice of you. Those are dailies, so don't try it. If you happen to see it, don't even bother, brother. Ain't no way. So I love when you call unexpected. Because I hate when the moment's expected. I'ma care for you. You know I had that in the bag, did you, brother? Hey, guys. We ready, Jer? Yeah, okay, on a serious note now. Welcome, hello, welcome. Welcome to the, what are we at? 59th episode of the Swift and SwiftUI Learnalong. I am your host, Yo Soy Oat. Okay, that's right, you heard it right. And what we do here, let me show you real quick. Okay, so for the uninitiated, step you through my little diagram here real quick. Okay, so first of all, maybe I should add this, but you're watching a person that is, you know, true to its namesake. You're doing a learn along with me. So I'm learning everything that you see on the stream for the very first time, but, well, and not always necessarily, but for sure this stream, meaning Swift and SwiftUI. So I'm not teaching you something that I've prepared. Instead, what we do here is I pick pieces of literature or courses, you know, something that some other expert that I trust to teach me, and by virtue of that, you, that I trust to learn certain technologies, right? So I go through the course material, the book, whatever, read it to you. So I read it aloud, but I'm also reading it to myself for the first time, and we do the projects together. And so in that vein, there's no direct interaction. So that's, if that's what you're looking for, I guess what I'm saying is you're not going to get that here. Instead, what I'm aiming for is like a very long form kind of, more like really just a cataloged experience of learning all these different things. Now, that being said, this stream in particular has an additional goal of, at the end of it, we're going to actually build a product that I intend to sell as part of my startup. So it's a passion project. Call it passion project, but it's going to be called MRP Panda. Okay, and we can talk more about the business side later. We're going to get there, and I've already talked about it plenty previously, so I'm not going to linger on that too much. But yeah. So all that being said, just understand the dynamic, right? So there's not direct interaction. Instead, it's literally a learn along, and the focus is understanding the stuff, the thing, whatever the thing is, in this case, Swift. We just want to understand it deeply. Oh, and also anything that I'm learning, I'm using this time to, like, this is my learning time. So I'm not going to do anything off stream to a given, or in relation to a given topic. So if you're serious and happen to align with the thing that I'm learning, I would say this is a great stream for you. If you're looking for more touch and go stuff, like Prime, the Primogen, he's a good example of like he can give you really interesting little snips, 15-minute videos, or just react to something because he's done it for much longer and he has a wealth of experience to draw on. That's not this. I just want to make that clear. I just became disenchanted with that kind of style anyway, you know. But at a certain point, we all want to fly ourselves, you know. We watch everyone fly, and then you want to fly. Natural progression. But anyway, just keep that in mind. Now, that being said, we've already gone through 50. Well, obviously, we're on the 59th episode. The first 45, which equates to about the first 45 episodes, probably 120 to 150 hours of content. That is when we covered Swift proper, like just the general programming language. So sorry, mouth is drier than a mug. If you want to get caught up, you can go to this YouTube channel. I'm streaming it to many platforms, so X, Instagram, Kick, Twitch, X, and YouTube, but YouTube is the only place I can guarantee that you can watch the old streams. I think I started doing the Twitch one late, but either way, this is where you can go to get caught up. So just go to the live section and all the pre-recorded streams will be there. And they're all labeled, and they all go in sequence. So you can just follow them straight up if you want to get caught up. That being said, we've now moved on to SwiftUI. So we're at this second phase here, enjoying it. Not too far in, where maybe I kind of went through some growing pains finding the right course once I learned what the modern aspects of SwiftUI are, which in this case is, well, I'm not saying that well. There's two aspects of it. There was courses that teach both storyboarding and UIKit, which UIKit was the predecessor to SwiftUI. There were books that focused on that and kind of touched on SwiftUI. I didn't want to do that, so we're not going to cover storyboards or UIKit at all. I don't feel a need to, so we're not going to do it. So FYI on that. But then also there was this conflict where in that same vein, I didn't want to learn an old framework. And if you're familiar, the old in this case, so the equivalent of UIKit in the data handling space within Swift would have been core data, something they called core data, a framework, which was more Objective-C based with Swift interoperability. I didn't want to do that. So finally we found a course that is teaching, well, it's a book rather, but it's teaching SwiftUI, strictly SwiftUI with Swift data, which is the new, effectively the new, or the successor to core data. So Swift data. So it's all in Swift, it's Swift first, and so it's the reversal, but it's the new age stuff. So now we got all that figured out, found a great book that actually promotes and encourages people to make stream content on it. So if you're worried about any of that or being a Karen, don't, because I was worried about that myself, but thankfully found this book that literally encourages you to do it, so long as you shout them out, and we will do that right after this and at the end of the stream too. Now, after we finish with SwiftUI, we are going to, well, hold on, I skipped one thing. As part of SwiftUI, we're building 3 full-featured apps. So we haven't even started really deep diving into the first one yet, so it's a good time to get in here. And then after we do that, we're going to do some preliminary, backbone style work, build the shell and whatever details I can come up with on the fly. But we'll do like 2 or 3 days of designing the schemas. So for the web server, I want to use GraphQL, and for the onboard storage, we'll have SQLite. So we'll also put together a SQL schema. So you'll get to see that whole process. And then after that, it's just going to be effectively building the thing on stream, my app. And if I hit any walls, which I'm sure I will, or just need a break, or don't feel like doing it one day, on those days, we will learn how to not only program in C. I don't want that to be the focus, but because it's a Swift driven stream, obviously. So while we will learn C, what I'm really more concerned about is how to effectively call into C libraries, existing C libraries, C++ libraries, using Swift. Because that's something that, especially in my world, because my tool is going to work with data, big data. That'll be a good skill to have. But we'll always keep it centered around Swift. Okay. Now, and I've really enjoyed it. I mean, I did a lot of research leading up to choosing Swift, and I've not been disappointed. Although it is it's a big language. It is. But yeah, in terms of where I've been before, I would say I'm expert level in SQL. I did that for like a decade. A lot of database side work. From querying to stored procedures to, pulling in JavaScript to do other more honky, ridiculous stored procedures, database repair, disaster recovery, all that kind of DBA type stuff. I got to see a lot of that just working for a service company for that long. We were a reseller of an ERP package, if you're familiar, like Microsoft Dynamics or SAP Business One, or any of the SAPs. I mean, they would all be ERPs. NetSuite, Sage, you probably know what I'm talking about. Even QuickBooks Enterprise would be an ERP. So we were a reseller of that package, and then also had an in-house plugin for that, a manufacturing plugin. So a lot of consulting work, on-site work, projects, implementations, and then ultimately settled into more of I became the subject matter expert for anything SQL related. So our schema, I knew like the back of my hand, and then any kind of wizardry in SQL that was required, I was the guy. So I love SQL. SQL has given me a lot in my career. If you don't know SQL, don't be scared of it. And matter of fact, I think after eventually we'll start covering some SQL too, because SQL is great. Everyone should learn it. It's kind of like Go in the sense that it's easy to learn, hard to master, or it goes very deep. But yeah, anyway, so I did that for like 10 years, and then I spent like maybe a little over a year as a DevOps engineer after a buyout of the company I was working for at the time. And that was mostly using Golang and Python for ETL stuff. It was pretty boring all told. All that stuff is, I'm not saying it's simple, but it's, you're just so beholden to AWS and, the provider, and you're just doing everything their way. So you're really just connecting dots all the time. You call in APIs. You're not really building anything, just tying shit together. But nonetheless, it was a good experience. Got to write some Go, got some insight into how the server side kind of programming works outside of the database realm. So that was cool to see. I've done some web stuff, but by no means am I an expert in general purpose programming. So that's why, we're covering the books in this way, because they're supposed to show you A to Z how to get everything done, from not just the syntax, but also understanding the concepts, working with memory, and then how to deploy your app and all that stuff. So with that being said, now we can finally get to it. Yeah, I recently started, so I'm on my iPad right now, which is super cool. And this has been awesome because I was kind of concerned it wouldn't look, I didn't want it to get worse because I was just streaming my Mac directly, but now I'm remoting in. That way I can pop around to other apps. But I thought it looked really good. I was watching, yesterday was the first time I streamed it. But yeah, if you think otherwise, let me know. But otherwise, I actually think it kind of looks a little bit better just because it keeps the code more centered. And then I can do shit like this. Like I can, for the book, like when I want to punch in, I can just zoom in. Super sick, and then pop right out. Now you guys might get a little nauseous, but I'll try not to be too overt about it. But yeah, I'm digging this a lot. But if you think otherwise, let me know. Otherwise, I'm sticking with this. Yeah. All right, now yesterday, let's see, what was our last... we'll just go through this summary, yeah. Oh, I didn't shout out, my bad. There's one more thing, one more housekeeping thing. BigMountainStudio.com. That's part of the deal, so they don't care if we use their material on the stream, so long as we shout them out. So this is an awesome site, and I will definitely be coming back for a lot of this. I mean, there's so much more than this SwiftUI book. Check out some of this stuff. So I can tell you that I'm not trying to say don't go, you should go support them, absolutely. But in subsequent streams, I'm definitely going to come back and do this animations one for sure. This is the one that we're doing right now, which is Swift Data Mastery. So I'm definitely going to come back, support them some more with animations mastery because I need it. And maybe a few others. But yeah, lots of good bundles. I mean, if you're trying to get on the fast track with the modern way of using Swift, this so far, and I've found maybe 15 to this point pretty robust sites that do Swift centric things, and it's the only one I found that does it very visually, meaning like the content, like literally the content. You see that all the graphs and pictures and whatnot, which is helpful. It's the only one that I've seen that does that and also is covering all the most recent methods. I'm sure there are others, but yeah, this is a great one. Okay, so now I have fulfilled the obligation of shouting them out. We'll do it again before we sign off, and otherwise, let's get cracking. So where's Xcode? Where'd you go? There you go. All right, so now let's take a look at the summary from yesterday. Yeah, so we were covering how to create the mock data. It looks a little, kind of looks blurry now. Why does it look blurry? Or maybe that's just me. What does it look like over here? I can't tell if my contacts are blurry or it's this, but whatever. We will push through. I'm reading it to you anyway, so whatever. Okay, here's a summary of the different things you can do to create mock data. All right, so first we looked at model. Oh, shit. No, not yet. Come on now. There we go. Okay, so model container. So this is effectively the syntax and then what it does on the right hand side. So this modifier dot model container with the parameter 4, and then we pass in whatever definition that we want to work with. So effectively whatever, like friend model is a class, and so we're saying that we want to use mock data to work with the friend model class. So this adds a model container to your view using the friend model definition. Then we looked at this macro here, that main actor, which dictates that it runs on the main thread. So this is, you can create a property that sets up a model container and adds mock data for your previews. For your oh, right. Yeah, okay. Because it's, yeah, right there. Okay. And then what is this? Another modifier, model container. Friend model.preview. All right, this calls the data. So this uses a computed property from an extension of the model to provide a model container and mock data. Uses a computed property from an extension. Yeah. That'd probably make more sense if we saw it in the code, which we did, but I'll show you guys right after this what they're talking about. But yeah, some of these methods we already covered in the first book, and this was one of them. Okay, so what was the next one? So this hash preview, this is the Xcode only method, meaning if you just wanted to work with it and call it directly inside Xcode and see it in the rendered preview, you can use this method. Create a model container and mock data right in your preview, explicitly return the view with return. Generating mock data. You can use various AI tools. Yeah, and it briefly covered how to use prompts, but I think we'll do that plenty anyway, and we're already doing that, so we won't linger there. Now let's see. Yeah, it's here. The extension is here. So this is the reference to that second method. Hash preview. Let's see where that's preview. Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. Yeah. Yeah, so here it is directly in the preview, which this is the method we learned in the Big Nerd Range guide. So this probably looks more familiar, but you can just see the direct calls. Container, main context, and then the insert statements, what we want to use, so the friend model, and then the actual arguments and values. And that list of names is our mock data. And then we just explicitly have to tell it, return the mock data preview with the model container, and then that lets us work with the data and persist it if that is our desire. Okay. So today now we are doing a deeper example of the model portion. Let's create a bigger model so you can see how to work with all of the simple types. Complex types will be covered in model options. Okay. Excuse me. You also learn about some of the built-in features of using the model macro on your class. By the end of this chapter, you will know what you can put into a model and the extra functionality that comes with a model. Okay, we won't look at those quick links. We're just gonna do it. Okay, simple types. Punch in. All right, earlier you learned that models can have simple and complex types. In this chapter, let's look at a model using these simple types so you can see examples of how to create, populate, and display this data. So it does seem like well, maybe not. Oh well. All right, I'll leave it alone. We'll leave it alone. Okay, these are the simple types. In this chapter, let's look at a model using these simple types so you can see examples of how to create, populate, and display this data. Okay. Cool. So, bool. Okay. Next. Now the model. For this chapter, we're going to use a data model that contains all of these simple types. It is in a file called bookmodel.swift in the companion project. Okay. Bookmodel.swift. So we have the macro. In SwiftUI, everything is a class, so that's what we're going to see primarily, although we won't use them in the business logic. And all of these vars are properties, it would seem, of various types: UID, string, decimal, bool, int. Then we get a little fancy here. So what last updated is equal to an instance of the date type that's built into SwiftUI. And then we have an optional data, so meaning it could be nil. And then we have a custom initializer, which was required. We learned that. So that's in Swift proper. Like if you were just writing normal Swift, the compiler would provide for you a member-wise initializer, which just means it would write it for you. So for every single property in your class, so all of these, in the background, it would just generate an initializer for you for each of these. But in SwiftUI, if you're doing it, or not doing it, but if you're doing Swift, if you are defining a model, you do have to write an initializer explicitly, which is why it's here. Even if it would just mimic what the member-wise would do anyway. It's just one of the rules. Okay, so this class has most of the simple types you can use in a model. Not all number types are used, but this should be enough to give you an idea of how to use them all. Okay. I was able to leave last updated out of the init because I gave it a default value. Okay. Which that's what the equal sign is here. That's how we can give it a default value. You can mark properties as optional. In the init, this property is defaulted to nil, meaning it is not required when you call the initializer. Right. Yeah, so since there's two different ways of doing it. You can have default values in the property, but you can also do, well, okay, wait. No, that's true. Yeah. So you can have it in the property, but then also where it says data here equal nil, this is another way that you can set I guess it's a little different in the sense that it's not necessarily already defined like it is here as an actual value. Instead, when somebody calls the initializer, it would just autocomplete nil in for them for data if they were to populate it. If they don't put it in there at all, then it just assumes nil. So it's a little different, but two different ways to do the same thing in this case. But that's what we're looking at. So the cover property will be used to store images for the book cover. Okay, so the image for the book cover is marked as optional, so not required. So that makes sense. Okay, you can't store images directly, so you have to convert images to data to store them and then convert them back to display them with what do you call it? Base 64, is that what it? That's the hot encoder going down these days, something like that. I think that's what we use when we were pushing all our stuff to S3, but okay, so book model.swift. So let me get that. Okay, here we go. Wow. Yeah, so this is all, well, not all of it, but starting, yeah, basically from here all the way down is just the mock data. And what is this here? Extension, book model, view availability. Okay. Yeah, this one's, it's a little different in the sense that everything's already there, so we just kind of follow the visuals. Last time we were typing everything out, which I prefer, but I don't know. I'm not going to try that. But this is good. So since it's visual, we're going to, I guess, let it slide, but I'm just not used to it all kind of already being there. You know what I mean? But yeah. Cover property. Okay, so we read that. So what's next? We got the file open. Extending the model. Go ahead and punch in there for me, guy. Okay. All right, import UI kit. Extension, book model. I want to show a check mark or an X for availability, so I am returning the SF symbol name based on the value. Let's see. So property view availability, it's a type string. Here's a closure. So available, the question mark is the ternary. So if it's true, if available is true, you get a check mark. If it's false, you get the X. And the SF images they're referring to, if you recall, there's two ways to get to it. It's either through here, so the little addition symbol up in Xcode. So these are the actual names that they're, which one they use, like X, yeah, X mark or whatever. So if we search X mark in here, we would get that same, that icon there. So when it refers to, it was a little off-putting, but now that I'm used to it, I can make sense of it. But you can see where it calls for a system name here. That's what it's referring to, is the name of those files. And that's what these are too, although here they didn't have to explicitly name the parameter. Not sure why, but they didn't. But that's what it's referring to. So in both places, it's the same. Okay, so let's see. The cover image is optional, as evidenced by this question mark trailing the type, which is how we say it's an optional. So meaning it could be nil, has the possibility to be nil. Okay, so the cover image is optional. So first we make sure it has a value before converting the data to a UI image. If cover is nil or the conversion fails, an FFSF symbol is returned. Okay, so that's what we're doing here. So if let optional binding is what they refer to this as. So you'll see this a lot, the if let or the ternary, but yeah, that's what they call optional binding. So that's how we handle nil. So we give it the case if it's not nil. So let's see if data is equal to cover. That's weird. I don't think I saw that comma there before. That's a weird way to write it. Cover. Why does that look so strange? But anyway, okay, so we're saying if data is equal to cover, let image equal the UI image, so whatever the data is, and what was cover. Oh, it's not defined here. That's in the main class. So basically, but if it's valid, then just let the image equal whatever the data is, and then decode it and display it, I suppose. Just return the image, so that's what we're doing here. Otherwise, return this note.txt symbol. So if it's invalid, we should get back note. Yeah, so we should get back this symbol here. Okay. Dang it. I think I put, yeah, it's right here. Pow. Okay. You can't always use the data as it is from your model in a SwiftUI view. You could add logic to your SwiftUI view to get your data ready for display. Another option is to move that logic out of the view and put it in another property in your model, or even another class or observable. For this example, I am extending book model and adding computed properties to get the data display ready. Okay. Note, as a naming convention, all extended properties for the view begin with view. Makes sense? All right. Why not use a SwiftUI image? At this time, there is no SwiftUI image initializer that takes data. So we convert the data to an image using UIKit's UI image. Oh, like it doesn't exist in the framework yet. Maybe that's coming in Swift 6.0, which we're getting this year. At this time, there is no SwiftUI image initializer that takes data. So we convert the data to an image using UIKit's UI image. SwiftUI's image has an initializer that can accept a UI image. Okay. So a little Apple reuse there, a little repurposing work, I guess. Model computed properties, questions and answers. Why are they called computed properties? Computed properties don't store a value, right? So each, on the initialization, it's generated, but not stored. They provide a way to get the value of other properties instead. Yes, they can reference other values within their scope, which is pretty cool. The value returned from the property is usually computed, aka changed in some way. Okay. Are computed properties part of the model? Yes and no. Computed properties do not get persisted in permanent storage. They are part of the model only so far as you can reference the properties from the model object. They are part of the model only so far as you can reference the properties from the model object. Yeah, I mean, semantics. I would say that they are part of it. Of course they're part of it. The only way a property in a model can be persisted is for it not to be computed. The only way a property in a model can be persisted. The only way a property in a model can be persisted, i.e. saved to disk, is for it not to be a computed, for it not to be computed, and for it to use a compatible type, such as one of the types from the simple types table a few pages back. Okay, so you have it, you could have where do we see the yeah, so if you had like any of these properties, like var title, in so this we could do, and they're saying that we could persist this, but you can't do a computed property like 1 plus 1. Couldn't do that. Well, you could do that, but you couldn't wait, why did I get an error? Oh, it's a string, duh. Okay, fine. 1. How about that? But yeah, so you couldn't do that and have it persist, but you can do the default value. Okay, makes sense. Now what? Cover property. See if they convert it. Oh wait, we already went through that one. Okay, I was trying to find the stored property example. Okay, so and this slide we just covered. And all right, now the third question. Can a computed property be used in a query's sort or filter criteria? No. If you try to use a computed property to sort data or filter data in a query, your app will crash. Yeah, that'd be crazy. That'd be pretty slick though. Query sorting and filtering only work on the model's properties that are persisted, which computed properties are not. Okay. Okay. I wonder how you, okay, so if that's the case, I wonder how you sort then, like if you had a dynamic, because obviously you can do it. I've seen apps that do it. But if you had like a dynamic dashboard type thing, and it's well, I guess in that case it is being persisted. It's just happening really fast. Okay, never mind. Okay. All right, the view. Now we're talking, brother. Okay, the view. Here is an example of using all of the properties in our model in a view. Sweet. Notice the image is the UI image init to display view cover. Notice the image is the UI image init. Image, UI image, book.viewCover. Notice the image is the UI image init. Let's go look at that because I don't, is the UI image init. So this thing. How is it? Oh, book is the iterator. Okay. So book dot view cover. So then we call from the book model this here. I guess it's just the book that's blurry because this looks crispier. So that's good. Okay. So yeah, blame the book. But all right. So var view cover UI image. So another, this is the optional binding we saw. Data equals cover. Let image equal. And this is a view, SwiftUI view. The parameter data. Oh, I see. Okay, so we try to pass it in, and that's where we either return the image if it's not nil. Otherwise, we return still a UI image, but instead now just a SF symbol, which we just looked at. Okay, yeah, okay. Okay, yeah, follow, yeah, okay. So then let's go back now. Bring me back now. All right, so book.viewCover. Inside of a list, books, which is, I assume that's an array that we... Oh yeah, it's right there above. Okay, books is in fact an array of book models. Makes sense. So that's what the query is on. And we're saying in the body, we want to render a list of those books using this logic. Book being our iterators, so for every book model, effectively, we want to render it in this vertical stack. Leading alignment, which is the same as saying left justify. Call some spacing parameter. Then inside of each vertical stack, we have an image rendered, which is here, obviously, as our first one, because we know it goes top to bottom. So image book.viewCover, that's where we call that initializer we just looked at. And we have these two modifiers being applied: resizable, scale to fit. Okay, those make sense too. And then a nested horizontal stack, which is all our data here. This is helpful to see it side by side. So yeah. Oh yeah, I do have it. I think, there we go. That's the only downside of this setup. I can't see, whatever, it's my problem, not yours, but I wish it would, I thought it would show the remote cursor still, even if I'm remoted in, but apparently not. But even yet still, so we have the nested horizontal stack, which is the data there, and then labeled content. Wait, so the horizontal stack, that is just the book title and the image, book availability. Oh, okay. So, okay. The H stack is just, I don't know if it's gonna, it's just that portion. Well, wait, this should preview, right? I got the same code. Yeah, okay, my bad. Let me see if we get that. That'll be easier to look at. But yeah, so that H stack is just that line, the book title, and then green check if it's available based on that code there, or a red check mark if it's not available. Oh, it didn't work. What happened? The heck? Oh, right. I forgot to change that too. Damn, go off guitar shit. That should make it go away, and then we can just look at it. In this, no? Oh, my bad. Ah, okay. Dot. What the flip? It's supposed to use your domain. Or I wonder if it's not unique. What the test? How about that? Oh my gosh. Oh, I wasn't reading. Okay. S data mastery, and it doesn't support what? It doesn't support push notifications. Okay. Now I lost connection. Where is that set? Okay, sorry, I just... Oh, it's right there. Okay, I think we passed. Okay. Build it up. Build it up. There we go. And... where are you? Unlocked. Wait, no, god damn it. Pardon my French. Just give me the preview. I thought that was the shortcut. View. How about I just change this to simulator, then it should work. iPhone. Okay, now we should get one. It was trying to send it to my phone because we did do that setup, which is cool, but you know what'll be neat about the new Mac OS is they're going to finally have, I don't know if you ever had an Android, but you know, you can link your phone and interact with your phone just like it looks like this, but it's your actual phone. You can just use it and use the apps and whatnot on Windows, Android and Windows. So Mac OS is getting that. And that'll be great because that'll use a lot less RAM. I won't have to run the simulator on this machine, but okay, but it's not showing me any. Okay, there we go. Ooh, not bad, brother. But this is not at all what this is. What is this? Planets. Okay, but does my preview work now? Okay, never. We'll just look at the picture. I mean, I thought that would get me there, but this is model data presentation. Oh, well, maybe that's. I'll try one more thing. Model. If I look for that actual file, that might help. Is it here? Okay. Okay, here's the file. And does this have, there we go. That was not in the right file. So I can close that. Show it to me. There we go. Looking way spiffier. Okay. Yeah, in terms of performance, I've said it before, I'll say it again real quick. Don't be fooled. You hear some of this talk about Apple Silicon Macs, you know, the M1s and upward, how 16 gigs of RAM on an M1 Mac. This is it. This is an M2, but yeah, so that, you know, they'll say like 16 gigs on an M2 is like 32 gigs on a Windows machine. But that's bullshit. I found out the hard way. The truth is 16 gigs on a Mac is like 16 gigs on Windows. So yeah, don't do that. Don't waste your money on a machine with any less than 32. That's my recommendation, because you can see, despite everything they say, I mean, I know it looks like I have a lot of apps running. These are all very low. I mean, look at this. Very small footprints. Like right now I have roughly 5 gigs of memory free. It's not even virtual, and it still took that long to start up. So something's odd, but I say that because I used to have, I sold it, stepped away from Mac for a while, and then decided to go all in. But yeah, I've been all over the board. But I had the M2 16-inch MacBook Pro with 32, and it was perfect. I should have just kept that machine because god damn it, but I didn't. It was way faster, like way faster. But yeah, here I am. So yeah, don't do what I did. Get the 32 or don't get it at all. Just wait, save your money. Yeah, don't do it. But yeah, I'm not even running anything heavy. Xcode's the only thing, and it still takes that long. So it bothers me, all right? It bothers me that I paid like thousands of dollars for this machine, and I got to wait for the fucking preview to take that long. Anyway, I digress. All right, so the H stack that we're looking at here, the text, the spacer, and the image is this thing right here, combined mastering SwiftUI, and then the little image that gets generated. So that's that alone. That's like literally all I was trying to point out to myself, but that's cool. Okay, so we have the H stack with a modifier, book.available, ternary, green. Okay, we saw that. And then our labeled content, last updated. Oh, okay. So labeled content is the view. Then we name it, and then comma. Then we pass in whatever the value should be. In this case, book last updated. Then we're formatting the date value, numeric. We omit the timestamp that comes with it. Then we also show pages. Okay. And the link. And then that is all. That is what is making the rest of this data. Last updated pages, the price. Okay. Gnarly Harley. All right. How much formatting you want to handle in your extension properties is up to you. For example, you could do the date and price formatting in your properties. Like, okay, in the base definition itself. Okay. Preparing mock data. Actually, I need to go to the restroom real quick. BRB, I don't know, 4 minutes or less. BRB. I can squeeze out of this mug. God. Mm. Oh, laka laka ooh, laka laka ooh. All right, just kidding. All right, so come on, guys, get serious. Where were we? Preparing mock data. Okay, that's a bunch in here, brother. Let's lock in. Preparing mock data. When preparing preview data for the SwiftUI preview, you can store images in the preview assets.xc assets folder. Remember, anything in the preview content folder will not get released with your app. Remember, anything in the preview content folder will not get released with your app. Oh yeah, right. Yeah, the compiler takes care of that for us. You can then you then convert the images into data to store them in your Swift data model object. The images are PNG, so the PNG data function is used to convert it into data. There is also a JPEG data if your images are JPG or JPEG. Okay, so there's a number of built-in functions to work with common image types. And as far as the folder that they are referring to, that is down here at the very bottom, which we worked with this a decent amount in the Big Nerd Ranch Guide too. Yeah, so it is nice. It's nice to have a language defined directory that's also, or rather, yeah, like one specific place that the editor can always be aware of and look for mock data and preview stuff. But whenever you compile or build for the App Store, it just ignores it and it doesn't go with it. So yeah, that is nice. Yeah, in a past life, we would always run into issues with the mock data for different versions going out with, it was a fucking mess. But yeah, good old Fox Pro. Bet you ain't never even heard of that, brother, have you? Visual Fox Pro, look it up. Hottest new language on the market. Okay, so UI image previews, you then convert the images into data. Okay, so yeah, I wanted to look at this more. Where is that at? Extension book model. What file is that? Likely book model. And cover. Wait, UI image. Named. Where's that string? Okay, I guess it's not in here. Oh, duh, it's probably it's in the preview again. No? Where's that at? Extension book model. Book ID, insert, no. There it is. Okay. Always the last one, so cover. So the UI image thing is not, that's what I wanted to look at. Option click. Option click. No? Okay. just wanted to go to the documentation for it, but why not? There we go. An object that manages image data in your app. It's of type NS object. So we did learn that anywhere we see this, we shouldn't see it too often, hopefully, but NS stands for next step, I think it was called, but it's an acronym for the operating system that I think it was, make sure I got my history right. It was the operating system that Steve Jobs well, not he himself built, but it was a separate company, and then that was brought to Apple when he came back, and so it's a legacy operating system, basically a throwback. But now it more or less can tell us immediately that, like, if we see this as developers, we know that NS basically equates to Objective-C, so we know that we're basically crossing over the line, which I want to avoid as much as possible. But I mean, if it's, I say that I don't know how much of a hit. I just don't know enough yet to know if there's a performance hit. But just, I don't know if you've ever seen Objective-C. Let me just show you real quick, just to get you on my side here, because I honestly am shocked that